Well, that they've argued that look at all these cities that they've built in China that could have never been done unless it was this 100-year plan from the totalitarian government, and in the free market society that wouldn't have been done. I mean, you've heard the arguments of how the Communist Party does things that a democracy couldn't.
Yeah, and we put a man on the moon. We built the national highway system. We have created all kinds of advances in technology and science. A lot of those advances were on the basis of investment that the government was doing in basic science and technology. We stopped doing that. We haven't been doing that for over 30 years now. You know who's been doing that? The Chinese Communist Party.
And so, why is that? And what's your point there?
Well, because we've been convinced that, the private sector is the only one responsible for, creating infrastructure in this country. That's the only one responsible for creating, the basic scientific advances, that it should be from the private sector that all these things emanate. And that is one thing that I would say that the Chinese Communist Party realized was a failure of the Soviet Union, and then really unlocked the potential to take not only their talent, but our talent. So, in 2017, when I'm the defense attaché in Beijing, there's a hypersonics conference in Xiamen, China. And a couple of the attachés go down there, and who do you think are teaching the Chinese how to build hypersonic missiles? Our very own NASA scientists, right? Why? Because the Chinese are willing to invest money in development of hypersonics when our own government is unwilling to. So where are the scientists going to go? They're going to go where the data is, and they're going to go where they're well compensated. These are all because China has continued to, since the end of the Cold War, invest heavily in science and technology, and the United States has stopped doing it. Silicon Valley, Austin, Boston, a lot of these tech areas of the country did not spring up out of, magic fairy dust. It was on the basis of investment that the federal government was doing during the Cold War, in the space race, in really investing 2% of our gross domestic product on science and technology research, and sending a lot of our engineers and scientists to get their degrees on the basis of federal grants. These are things that we used to do as a nation. We built the Eisenhower National Highway System. We sent a man to the moon. These are all things that we did, but we had a different view at the time in terms of the role of government and business in terms of driving the technological evolution, and really its impact on economic growth. And I think we've lost that. We've lost manufacturing. These are all things that, we need to bring back into the fold in terms of how we think about, what the government's responsible for. Industrial policy. When I got to the White House, my colleagues from the National Economic Council said, we don't do industrial policy. My Commerce Department colleagues that are basically seconded to the National Security Council to do work at the National Security Council said, America doesn't do industrial policy. And I said, well, that's great. But you know who does? The Chinese Communist Party does industrial policy. Korea does industrial policy. Japan does industrial policy. Taiwan does industrial policy. Germany does industrial policy. Who are the powerhouses in technology today, and why?